Hey there, so my name is John Farrell, and I'm making this video about a website I made that showcases off trends around the Colchester budget. I posted a previous video, which was like 20 minutes long, uh, that probably too long, but I've, I've done more work on this site. I want to provide a follow-up, especially because of the tri-board meeting tonight. There's some pretty massive cuts to both the town and the education budget being proposed, and I want people to have this information just so that just to inform them. I can't. A lot of people are concerned about the affordability of these budgets, and I can't speak to that because affordability is rather personal. A graph on this page is not going to change how affordable the Colchester's budget is for you. But I think one thing that the research I've done has shown is that Colchester's spending over a long period of time is really restrained and even below inflation. In some ways, we have it really good here in Colchester. I don't think there's a lot of towns that can say that they've spent under inflation. And on a per capita basis, meaning per person, your Colchester's actually spending less money than it has before. Um, I don't want to go over this whole graph because I've gone it before, but I mean, here's the inflation adjusted spending per resident. Before we spent about 3 grand per person that lived in town, and now we're only spending 2,600, inflation adjusted, of course, and that's a pretty substantial drop there. And in other ways, we haven't caught up with income or social security increases either. Now, one thing to consider is that the actual residential property tax burden has gone up a couple percentage points, but that's kind of to be expected because of other factors. But the key thing in this video I want to show is go over this general theme that I have here, show off the site again because I'm pretty proud of this, and show you some new things I found that could be interesting to you. Now, I have a disclaimer. A lot of this is done with AI. That doesn't mean it doesn't mean it's wrong. It does mean that there could be errors. I've actually, you can go here and click on accuracy and neutrality to go look at well, I basically put skills together, or how do I describe this in a layman's way? I basically put things that happen every single time I make a change to the site that check for objectivity, check for bias, check for load of language, and check for data accuracy. So there's a system in place that keeps this constantly being checked for biases and stuff like that. I am a Colchester DTC member, and people use that to immediately discredit me, which, if they want to do that, that's fine. Then they can save themselves 8 minutes from watching this video, right? And if that's the case with you, that's too bad because there's a lot of cool stuff in here. But um, anyway, and yeah, being an AI, definitely look for mistakes. All the citations for the data is at the bottom. All of the charts have little codes next to them. Here, you can see this little code that allows you to reference the chart. You could also hit export PNG to download the chart too if you want to use it on other things. But yeah, just want to go over that. I don't want to go over too many disclaimers because it takes up more of the video, but let me go over the central premise again. The central finding. So against every other benchmark, against all these inflation measures, and I'll get into what these last three are, cultures are spending less than inflation, right? We're growing, um, we're growing, we're trailing that CT household median income and Social Security benefit, meaning wage growth and the Social Security benefit per person, per capita, has actually gone up higher than our budget has. Colchester may not feel more affordable for two reasons, and I'll see if I can get down to the graph right away. I'm going to jump around a little bit. Now, the two reasons Colchester is not going to feel as affordable is one, because the state has not given us ECS funding, which is educational cost sharing. So basically, over time, the state has sent us less and less money, so we've had to pay more of that money, which has been a huge part of the budget. But it hasn't been Colchester spending we haven't we're not spending more than we make. We're not spending more than people have earned, and we're not growing our spending faster than inflation. And so the real problem is that as a percentage, the state's just giving us less. Also, one interesting thing, if you go to here income and spending, there's more things about this income and spending. So even though we've reduced our spend per capita, the share that we're paying on a medium priced the average share or the median share of your income that's been paying for property taxes has gone from like 6.32% to um, recently it's 8.16%. And that's for two reasons. One, again, the state hasn't given us money. And the second is because housing prices are just gone up. And that even though we're growing in wages. The share has gone down. The share has gone up because not every resident pays property taxes, right? Only people with homes and cars. And because of that, the tax burden is not spread around on a per capita basis. It's spread around on a per property basis, I guess, or per taxable. I don't know what. There's got to be a term for this, but it's per taxable member of Colchester's community. So that's probably why. But the that's enough of the general overview. You can go to budget trends here and read all this. All this language is checked for accuracy and non-bias. It's all cited. There's links to all the citations on down below. There's links to the actual JSON and data sets. I'm trying to make this open source so you could inspect more of it, but I tend to leak my app keys in my source code because I only did this blah blah blah. You don't want to hear that. It's just some nerdery. You don't care. But anyway, I do some things that make it easier to hack me, so I got to clean those up. But anyway, the two of the major findings I wanted to go over, and I just put two in the area if you can see me, is so when we compare this budget, we compare it to consumer inflation. But towns usually don't have to pay consumer inflation, are above consumer inflation because towns don't buy like cheeseburgers and TVs or cars. They buy asphalt and commercial vehicles, and they pay union salaries, right? Towns and government spends more. Inflation's higher for towns and governments because they don't still buy things. I go buy cheeseburgers from Harry's, right? And the town buys asphalt by the truckload. And the asphalt's more expensive, and the town pays union salaries. I don't pay union salaries. So when we say that Colchester's budget shouldn't grow past consumer inflation, that's not really a true measure because there's actually a BNS SNL government deflator, which tries to measure the cost that actual governments pays because they just have to buy more expensive things. And when you look at the government deflator and the growth, you can actually see that CPI inflation here, the red line, if the budget tracked for inflation since 2007, we should have a $71 million budget. But if we tracked for the actual spending, government spending, we could have a $75 million budget, which is a lot higher. I'm not saying that we should spend that much money. I'm just saying that if we tracked purely with inflation, we would spend far more. We're actually even farther below inflation or what towns pay. So that's kind of interesting to bring up. We talk about consumer inflation too much, but towns don't really spend. Towns don't buy the same things people do, right? So the second thing I wanted to go over, which I thought was interesting, is I took a look at the percentage of median income, meaning the tax burden on a per capita basis as a percent of median household income. And what that means is that, basically the gist here is that rich towns with rich people pay more in taxes, right? And they pay more of their money in taxes, well, because they're rich, right? And they have tons of money. So like here, Washington, Connecticut, which I actually lived in. I lived in a weird house. I wasn't rich when I lived there. I had a 1980 Chevy Nova, not the cool one, the Toyota one. But anyway, Washington is a really rich town, and so they levy a lot more per person, right? And down here in Colchester, they levy $5,700 because they're rich, they're super rich. But here, Colchester, on a ranking of the percentage of tax burden per income or by income. Sorry, I'm messing the words. I didn't sleep well. But the levy, we're at $2,900 per person. We have an average income of $120K. The ratio is 2.48%. And we're down on the bottom of the list, meaning we're one of the cheaper towns to live in Connecticut, just based on this. And so definitely explore this data. It's kind of interesting to look at. Colchester is just an amazingly cheap place to live, and we should celebrate that. And it's really important. I'm running out of time. I try to get this under 10 minutes, but we're 9. The second thing I wanted to showcase off is that the deflator, that median income. And the second thing I want to highlight here is that when we look at the education budget, when you look at education budget, it's on the main app under here, Board of Education. You can look at all these things. Colchester is just this remarkably stable and median run-of-the-mill town. We rank basically in the middle of almost every single metric I can find with educational spending. We spend $22K per student, which is just in the median. In here, I have this is the household income again versus per pupil spending. Colchester is below the trend line, right? there's other ways to look at this, and it's remarkable how median we are. For people to say that Colchester spending, education spending is out of control, that may reflect recent increases because of a lot of new needs for schools, but in the long-term trends, we're actually an extremely average town and thrifty in a lot of ways. So that's kind of interesting. One thing I did break out too as new is in income versus spending, I actually broke out different wage tiers here. So like, I mean, it's on the main page. So again, I'm just kind of doing this off the cuff because I want to get this out there before today's meeting. So here is the per capita town bill as a share of income by wage tier. And so if you're a minimum wage worker, the per capita burden has gone down over time. If you're the 10th percentile worker, the burden has gone down over time. If you're a median worker, the burden has gone down over time. And if you're a 90 percentile rich worker, the burden has gone down over time too. Let's see, 63, 60, 64, 36, and 20 years ago it was yeah, 41. So like your burden's going down too. Like um, in on almost all income tiers, the burden's going down, and some of the poorer tiers is going down the most. And if you go over here to income and spending, you can see that definitely Social Security or wages and Social Security has hold on, wages and security has or wages and Social Security has increased faster than the town has spent on a per capita basis too. So those are kind of the interesting things. I think that I want to go back to the finding that over long term, and here, this is the simplest graph. It's the first one on the website for a reason. The red line is consumer inflation, and the blue line is total budget. You know, for the past 10 years at the very least, actually, it looks like more. Almost in the past, almost most of these years, we've trended below inflation. And if we look at the deflator, which is what towns actually spend, we're even below on that level too. So, you know, no graph here makes Colchester more affordable. Uh, Nothing changes how taxes feel to you, but over time, Colchester has been more and more fiscally responsible and thrifty. And there's almost no way to look at this that suggests that Colchester spending would be out of control or is out of control. And so when we talk about the town budget saying that you don't want to spend on schools or you want to spend less on ambulances and public safety and things like that, you can say that. If you think Colchester needs to spend more on certain things, that's valid too. If you want to spend more, you want to spend less, that's totally valid. But to say that, to suggest that we're out of control or living beyond our means or um, spending too much, it just doesn't reflect on the historical data. In some ways, we're one of the cheaper places to live in Connecticut, and I don't know where people are going to go to find better rates. Other towns are increasing faster. I haven't got all the data, but anyway, so I don't want this to convince anyone to change their minds because I don't think that's my job here. What I want to do is pull this data together, show it to people, and hope to elevate the conversation. And check out the site. Everything's public. I'll post a link here. I'm trying to make the code public. There's definitely check out the accuracy and neutrality to make sure that I'm keeping myself accountable to present this in a biased way. Definitely look at the glossary for terms. I don't know what a deflator is. I had to find out what a deflation benchmark is, an impact price deflator. Never heard that before in my life, but something that we just have to deal with in finance. But anyway, this video is getting to 15 minutes. I think that's really long. If you stuck around this far, I appreciate it. This is a fun project, and I'll continue to work on it. If you have questions, comments, feedback, my email is at the bottom. That's my personal email. Send it to me. I don't put my phone number because people have called me and left me angry voicemails before for no reason. So, but anyway, thanks for watching this far, and I'll see you at these town meetings, I guess.